Hi, I'm Craig Harrison. I'm 55. I say 55. I'm hanging on to 55 by the skin of my teeth. I'm really getting a lot out of my sport, my chosen sport, which was kickboxing. Started when I was about 20-year-old. First inspired with watching films like Bruce Lee, Enter the Dragon. But you'll see from some of my early fights that my boxing just really wasn't up to par. Bags of enthusiasm. I used to get the job done, but my boxing was quite unpolished. I got the chance far too early to fight for a British title up in Scotland, the Bella Houston Sports Centre. I came out. I remember sitting before the fight, watching up there, and it was just packed with Glaswegians who were really keen to see us. And as I came out, they were all stamping on the floor and shouting all kinds of abuse, and you see them on the telly and it doesn't mean much, but I'm telling you, walking out into a hostile crowd is really tough. And I kind of just froze, and I didn't think I would, because I was really confident. I'd been sparring with John, getting knocked about. I'm thinking if he's not putting us down, then there's no way this guy's going to do it. And it's one of the things that you get complacent, you get above your station thinking you're all that. And I got knocked out in the first round. Lost two of my teeth. It was very, very humbling. I remember watching the video about 3 times, and I was just wounded watching it. It was a very, very low point. And I taped over it, decided it would never happen again, and I was out running earlier, training harder, and I took the rematch, and it was up in the Tiffany's nightclub in Newcastle. Massive, great venue, and again I was only young, and I'd just been bashed up and knocked out in the first round by the guy 6 weeks before. So there was so many nerves, and if there was a back door I would have been out of it. But there was believing in yourself is really important, and sometimes you just need people around you who believe in you, and they just pumping you. And Glenn did that for us. He just convinced us mentally that I had what it took and that I could do it. I put him down and then knocked him out it was only the second round, knocked him out, and that there was probably the highlight of everything I did. They organised a fight for us in Mayfair nightclub against a lad called Alan Carr. He was the referee student, which never helps, but there you go. And I took the fight again, really short notice. I had to lose, I think it was £11 in a week. Been training for a while then with Bruce McCall at his gym, and top class bodybuilder. I'm in quite good nick at the time, and that was down to the advice of him. I remember getting in the ring, and Bruce tried to pop the ropes open for us, and obviously being that strong, he snapped them. The guy came in, and he was stood in the other corner. Bruce was saying, right, well, why don't you bob about a bit and just pop your top open and let him see where he's going to fight. It was just completely the right call, because the lad's head went down, and I knew there and then I'd beat him. I mean, it was only about a minute before I stopped him. But in fairness, I never really caught him with any credible big shots. I think he just didn't want to fight us, but I knew that from before we started fighting. And but anyway, there was lads in the crowd who'd watched the fight. They'd come up from Stockton, good solid players. They wanted us to fight this guy called Mick McHugh, who was the Waco Pro European silver medalist. And at the time, bearing in mind it was something like my 4th fight that I just had, 4th, 5th fight, I wasn't very experienced. And my corner accepted on my behalf, so I found out afterwards that I was fighting the week after. I went down to Stockton, and again, hostile home crowd, but there's a good few lads from the gym had gone down this time. He wasn't as technically gifted as Andrew Davey was, but he was just such a tough guy. He was just there to fight. Everything he hit us with, he was just hurting. It was just hurtful shots. And my mouth, my lips, everything was just swollen up the next day when I got up. But he put us down in the first round, but it wasn't really a big hurtful shot he put us down with. It was like a balanced thing. I was coming in to kick him. He's over the top and jabbed us, if I remember rightly. Down I went, got a count for that, so I'd lost the first round, and I put him down with a big, crazy, wild right hook in the second round, which he got straight back up from, and it was all on the third round, so I had to make this count. Went out, straight on my bum, and again, I just thought I'd lost it from that point. But whether it was luck, good fortune, or wherever, I caught him with a massive left hook and broke his jaw, knocked him out. I mean, actually swung the right hand, and I'm just so pleased I missed him, because if the right hand had hit him, goodness knows what would have happened. I mean, you'll see from my reaction, I was just get in. I was really just not bothered about what the welfare of the guy. You look back now and you think, wow, that's reckless. You're shouting over the ropes and waving your fist, and everything else has just gone quiet, because everybody else in the room's thinking about what you should be thinking about. Even my cornermen were going over to have a look to see what damage I'd done, and the referee's chasing him, because come on lads, this lad could be hurt. After that, they organised us another fight at the Mayfair. It was another British title fight against a guy called George Craig. George Craig was a tough cookie from a tough family. Loads of respect for George. I didn't know him at the time, and I've had come to know him afterwards, but he's a really good egg, and he was there to fight. Everybody thought that this was the one that was going to topple us, and I'm sure he thought that too. Me sparring at the time had been really off. I hadn't been training that much, and I don't think it was a really polished performance from us. My main sparring partner for the fight was actually Bruce in the back of his gym. He just used to give us free run of the place, and when I was stuck for something to spar with, he would jump in and do it for us. So all credit to tip me hat to him. I did the business and put him down 3 times, and the referee stopped it, and it was Paul Frost that was there to present the trophy.
The winner, in the blue corner, the new British light heavyweight champion, Craig Harrison!
Again, that was a great time, but that was really at the time the last kickboxing fight I had. Life kind of got in the way after that. I went on, there was a boxing club opened in Seaham, which again my old pal Frank Anderson was involved with. So I went up, and we just used to again sparring. And I had a couple of boxing bouts, but if I'm honest, well, I won them both. They were both quite comfortable bouts for us. It just didn't feel the same as the kickboxing. The kickboxing, you came on, you were made to feel like a bit special. All the noise would go up, and they made a bit of a show on it. With the boxing, you were more herded off before your bout was finished. The next guy was standing outside the ropes, and it wasn't the same feel for us. So I kind of didn't really fight after that.
Referee having stopped the contest, punishing your red corner to the ring.
One of the places we managed to get the keys for was the tyre repair place behind the Co-op buildings in Seaham. It was quite a rough, raggedy place, all the tyres piled up in compressors, and taking a good shot and landing over the back of a tyre repair machine. We managed to get some space then in the back of the terrace tea rooms. Ended up getting some bags, and we had the boxing ring up, and it was really just a space. There was a few of my pals wanted to learn how to do some kickboxing, so we used to go in there and just a bit of loose sparring, but The only real tough sparring I got was going through with Spartans, with Paul and Paul Greaves and some of the guys. And when I say tough, I mean tough. Some of the tough rounds I've had with Paul, you could never get complacent. Like when you catch him with some good shot, you think you've got a bit of success. You should know better. You really need a crash helmet at that point, because you know your next round's going to be really tough. He's going to come hunting. He's not the sort of guy that you're going to dissuade. The harder you hit it, the more he seems to like it. All the people he's had through the door over the years, and he has had some really, really good talent through the doors. He's never been one for being up himself. He's always willing to learn off whoever walks through the door. You know, he's very humble and asking them the advice, and he gleans what he can from anybody he's training with. You know, been through with the Thai boxing and learning the leg kicks from the best that's round. He's just a really top class coach, but he's tough with it. It's not like he's teaching from a place. You know, some of the instructors that's out there, they've seen it all on paper. Paul's done it. You know, I've cornered him for some big title fights. I've cornered him for unlicensed boxing bouts, but he's also had MMA fights. He's tried everything that's out there to try. He always continually wants to test himself. And I suppose one of the big things that I can say I've always had a massive respect for is just so technical with how he's stuck in, perfected his craft. It's refreshing to see, you know, how tough, how much of a beating he can take, how much he's willing to give for his sport. I remember like the feeling you'd put your kit in the car and you were driving through, and to get yourself psyched up, I would blast things like Malmstream, like heavy metal sort of music, just blasting in the car, and I used to get myself all juiced up, ready to go in and fight. You'd walk in, and there was always that tension in the air, which was just mint, and I do miss that. So you'd put your bag down and be looking around to see who you're going to be fighting this time, and it was just great times. But some tough sparring there at Spartans. It's always been, if you go through to Spartans, you're going to have a tough night. And it's, I've not been for a good while. I don't imagine it's any different now. There's been such good people come through there. I mean, we drove back to the Spartans Club, as I remember it, in Hilton Castle. It's actually a housing site now, and Paul's moved in with Stuart at Armageddon Fitness. It's a well set up club. They're just set up for success. You've got 2 top class coaches there, the facilities there. You'll not please everybody all the time. You're talking about friendships.
Yeah.
But do you find that friendships you've made through it, it's a bit like this, walk in, never seeing each other for God knows how long.
The finest people I've met are the people I've met through the sport, through kickboxing.
I've got to agree.
There's some absolute tossers as well. Like, I met some people that really annoy us for the most part. What I find is that once people have been training for a long time, and it's not just lip service, you know, the ego guns out there, you know what I mean? The younger blokes who maybe had 1 or 2 fights, starting to find they're a little bit good at it. Get ideas above the station about what they are and how invincible they are. People who are in it for the long haul, it just becomes a normal part of life. So they're not ego driven, you know, they don't think they're anything special, even though that some of them people like yourself really are a bit special.
Trying to make it blush on camera.
Is it working? One of my brush on camera, I'd do something like this.
You'd leave that in, How's your eyes now? Now you've had
Not great. Not great.
I just had mine checked. You know, after the 40 fight, where you get like the floaters in your eyes.
You did tell us
I went to the opticians then. I put it off for a canny while, like, he started giggling now. He says, "You're not sparring, are you? You're worried that," I says, "No, I haven't sparred since." He says, "You're not in any more risk now than you were then." It's obviously not good for your head getting punched in the face all the time.
Aye.
But I wouldn't be worrying about it.
Typical response of anybody who's involved with the medical profession.
To be honest, he says I do jiu-jitsu.
Aye.
He says, do you go to work with and I have loads of times with the makeup on your face and that to hide the black eyes and the bruised nose, and he does the same.
I've never found that I've had to do that.
Have you not?
No.
Maybe it's just
Like,
a personal
quite-
choice then.
I think it's fairly accepted in my profession that I might turn up for work one day with a black eye.
Do you still have the urge to compete?
Yes, all the time. Except that training hasn't gone particularly well for me personally.
I did wonder about you, by the way.
What's that?
Because I was saying, for me, it just never goes away. You know your body's not the same.
Aye.
But the feeling
And my
to
body
compete-
isn't. To be honest with you, I've done a lot of stuff for the Cumbeteers. I felt absolutely invincible at the time.
Yeah.
I was the fittest I've ever been. I think the last one I did, I might be a 48-year-old. It was a proper feat where I pulled off there. I felt really, really good. And even the day after, I wasn't really all that domsy. I noticed the same as when I was training for the 30-man. My eyesight wasn't great. I knew from past experience that you get a scratch on the lens when you're sparring, and in time it heals. And I thought it was just the same thing, but it wasn't. I was developing cataracts, and so I had cataract surgery. And I asked them, would I still be okay to spar? And they went, let it heal, and you should be fine. So I wore, one of them head guards with the big visor on the front.
Yeah.
Terrible thing, any risk to me, I'll wear them, and I wore it for ages. Got hit loads. I thought I'm getting hit more because of this head guard with the, really restricted your vision. And I was sparring with Carl Nesbitt, he hit it, I already smashed the visor, so I just took it off.
Yeah.
And I sparred for a while, and then one day I was sparring with Carl Lawrence, and I took a shot in the face. It wasn't particularly a hard one, and my vision went, turn that out, please. My vision went really, really blurry. God, I can't really see at all. And I'm long-sighted in one eye and short-sighted in the other. So with one eye completely out of commission now. I mean, it was just like, if I closed my good eye, I could see light, and that was it. There was no picture. And Carl's last went, let's have a look here. And she looked at us, and my eye looked like a goat's eye. Do you know what I mean by a goat's eye?
No.
My pupil wasn't round anymore, it was like a diagonal slit.
Wow.
I went straight over to the eye infirmary, got an emergency appointment. It was late at night. They looked at it and went, come back tomorrow and we'll operate. But they said that the lens is held in by sort of arms, and a few of them had snapped off, and they said it just wouldn't be all that stable. But, it's like the months gone by, you take it for granted, you get bored. But now, when I spar, my vision changes every time I spar.
Are you still sparring?
Sometimes, not often, but sometimes I'll have a sparring session, I'll come out and I can see better.
Right.
And sometimes I finish sparring and it's worse.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because the lens moves about. So that's probably the most inconvenient thing.
What life lessons have you learned through training?
If I were going to go Harrison. I think that the life lessons I've learned is that people are more robust than they think, and if you put your mind to it, you can achieve much more than you think is possible.
Yeah.
Not just in fighting and anything, but I think martial arts in particular gets you to dig deep a bit. You carry that ethos across into other parts of your life, so your relationships are better. I think probably I wasn't a particularly nice person before I got involved in martial arts. Sort of sorted my attitude out a little bit towards people.
I mean, like fighting outside and...
Well, there was that. I just had an attitude problems, you know what I mean? Might have realised I wasn't what I thought I was, you know what I mean?
One of the times where it makes you appreciate that, where you start to feel like you're getting somewhere, and then somebody walks through the door, feel like you're a beginner all over again.
It was fast, wasn't he?
It like lightning. The nerve felt so far up my depth.
My comparison is that sparring you for the first time, that bridge in speed, was like, fucking hell, where's all this come from? From your perspective, you've probably never sparred anyone as fast as you before. Or I'd sparred you, so I kind of, speed isn't the be all and end all of everything.
I mean, there's been that many people through your doors over the years, like that many. You've been good at something, whether it's boxing or obviously all the grappling you've been involved with.
I had to knock the grappling on the head. When I snapped my cruciate ligament, which I've never had repaired. Fire away.
How different is it now from when you first started your training?
We're training a bit smarter now. Probably don't overload ourselves as much as we used to. We used to do a lot of low intensity stuff, long runs. We wouldn't dream of doing anything like that now. I wouldn't even ask my fighters to do stuff like that. It's a little bit counterproductive. So we train a bit smarter. The sport itself has changed because more people are getting into K1. You know, it's just different as football and rugby to full contact, but I still do love full contact because what I tend to find is that even if people can kick exceptionally well, they don't do that Bill Wallace multi-style kicking now because it's just too easy for somebody to boot you in the standing leg. So you just don't see some of the really phenomenally acrobatic stuff that you used to see when people went to have a kicking in the leg. I would love to see full contact's been just as busy as standalone sport, but kids do full contact so they get a little bit of experience and they all dying to kick each other in the legs. And see the effectiveness of Thai boxing versus kickboxing because it's really pragmatic. It's in essence simpler to kick someone in the leg, a lot more brutal. I like to see the acrobatic side of somebody spinning around and kicking somebody's head for a spin hook kick.
I knocked out in my first fight and it was really hard to sit and watch it on the video. I watched it about 3 times and just cut me over it. Yeah, it was just devastating watching myself getting bashed off somebody.
But I suppose my low point was this. Is that 1045? I was fancying definitely having some fighting for some pro K1, like one pro K1. And I wanted to do more and snap that. Just good. The low point for me definitely would be when I sat my cruciate ligament. So turn that way. Shoot. Shoot. Shot. And you're always learning that leg as well, yeah?
I was, aye.
You're kicking better with your right, could you? Yeah.
And I used to bang that one over the top. This one was also stabbing.
Aye. Oh, aye.
Aye, right.
Starting to feel like 2 minutes.
It is, aye.
Left side.
What do you want to do?
Left side.
Left side, three.
Down. Whip from the end of the round.
Okay, what now?
No, fine. Now you hit the bottom line. Yeah. Drop one. It's just stop me from spinning. And you're going to drop one. It's just stop me there. Right shin. You step more. You make that shin once. And shin. Shin. Right on top. That's exactly the time to win. See how fast that was? Now. 6 shots, left high kick.
What's this? You kick right hand, left out?
Aye. First one's a jab, then all left 2 after that. And jab. 3. And jab. 7 shots, right high kick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Too fast, boys.
Yeah.
You're ahead of us.
I will come back if that's alright.
Aye.
It's been mid. Yeah,
Operation 1.
the condition it needs to be, and you keep pulling this and pulling that, and you think, is it the age? And I think no, it's probably age has got something to do with you. There's no substitute for youth, but it's because you're still trying to do what you remember you're doing. It's all like you say, it doesn't go where you want to fight, and you think you can still compete. You need to train hard, and it'll come back.
But you need You need to accelerate at the right pace, don't you?
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
And keep that base training in and keep
Like
all
I
that.
say, my own personal fitness is pretty bad at the moment. You know, I can have a couple of rounds with somebody, no problem, even a good fighter, but I would be like gassy towards the end of the rounds and getting caught with stuff there. I could probably still compete at a fairly good level, you know. Maybe not world class, but I could still, you know, because I've been there not that long ago. I've been quite fit. Getting offloading sparring gym and moving down here, which sounds like that's just a 2-week process. It wasn't. Do you know what I mean? Getting rid of it took months.
I've learned so much from my time kickboxing about life, but if there was probably a most important thing for me, it's your mind. If you believe you can, you can. If you believe you can't, you can't. If you walk into the gym, you've got inherent potential, some more than others. But if you've got belief in yourself that you're going to do it, you'll put massive action in, and you'll train really hard, and you'll do your very best. And if you put loads of effort in, you're going to get massive results. If you get massive results, that'll feed back into your perception of yourself, and it'll reinforce your self-belief. With no different in potential, if you walk into that gym and thinking you're too old, you're too fat, you're too this, you're too that, you're not going to try very hard. When people don't think they can win something, they tend not to try. And if you don't try and you don't put much effort in, you're going to get poor results. You've got to start believing in yourself. And to get that belief in yourself, visualization, positive self-talk, whether you're doing that through meditation, as long as I can get off the floor one more time, then it can put us down. I'm still in there to win it. And hang on till you get there.